So I've got on one side of my screen, I've got loaded up the full code image. This is downloaded from the coaches kit. You'll see an image of this code and you'll see there's a link there to download it. So I just downloaded this just to have it on the side for reference. You'll notice that this is all of our week one, and this is already saved from whenever we did week one a couple weeks ago now. So we're gonna start off with that. And I'm gonna really quickly build week two again, and I'm just gonna do it without it on the screen so you all will be able to watch that. So.
I'm sorry, it's my dog.
Hi, Trinket.
Her name is Trinket. She just had 5 teeth pulled. She's delicate right now. That sound is not my stomach, it is my dog.
I mean, that was definitely on my mind, but I wasn't gonna judge you if it was your stomach. It's almost dinner time. All right, so light splat 1. And then light splats again. I am again just building out week 2 code again really quickly. So for this one, we're lighting up our splats when the program starts. And these colors right here are just green and red. So I'm doing that right now. And you'll notice I already have a bug. So this one is when splat 3 is pressed. We don't need that one yet. We actually need when program starts. Oops. We're gonna need a second when splat pressed down here. That one's gonna be for splat 4. All right, so when our program starts, we're gonna light up splats 3 and 4 different colors. And then we are going to be lighting up our splats again whenever the splat is pressed. So I'm dragging out another block. And I'm going to be playing the sound ref whistle this time whenever we press on it. And I think we chatted a little bit about this last week, or actually Tuan and Ryan, I think you both did, about how the sound is actually coming out of splat 2 if you were to have physical splats connected. I do know a lot of you are remote right now, so you might not even notice this in your code. But if you do, I'm just gonna switch this to splat 3 just for it to match. Again, it should not impact your code at all.
I'm really sorry.
Oh, Trinket. You just sound so pitiful.
I know.
All right, so we're gonna set our stopwatch to 0. And we're going to stop our stopwatch here. Again, if you've got any questions on any of these things, let us know. So this one, when we stomp on it, we're gonna light it up yellow. This one is gonna be lit up green. So for this time, you'll notice I also have a boo-boo here. That should be splat 3 when it's pressed. I'm gonna duplicate this. For this one, you'll also notice, this is also, did you all talk about this last week too?
Yes. We decided that it doesn't, again, remotely, it doesn't cause too much of a change, but feel free to change the spot number so that it makes sense to you.
Duplicate. And playing sound. And then we are gonna stop our stopwatch. Well, there we go. So we've recreated this code again. When our splat 3 is pressed, our splat 3 should light up with the color yellow, should play a ref whistle sound on splat 3. It should reset our stopwatch to 0 and then start our stopwatch all whenever we press on splat 3. When we press on splat 4, we're gonna light up our splat 4 with the color green. Again, that's a minor change from here. Another bug that we caught. And so you're going to be lighting it up with splat 4, color green, playing the sound ref whistle on splat 4 or whichever splat if you're remote, doesn't really matter. And then you're stopping your stopwatch. So I'm gonna really quickly check this. So whenever I press on splat 3, it looks like I'm lit up yellow and we're good to go. And then it stopped whenever I pressed on splat 4.
Looks good. Yeah,
And
that's the trouble sometimes with duplicating sets of blocks. It's like you have to make sure you go through and change the numbers.
oh yeah, definitely. For this one, you'll notice that we have splat 3 and 4 lit up as red. And then we should also have from our week 1 code, a lit up cyan. So you'll notice we're good to go here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, just to make this code match all the code from the image, I'm gonna scoot these over so we are looking at splat 2 in the center. And then we'll zoom back in again. All right, so like Tuan mentioned, the code for this week is, again, well, your code for this week is all of the code. I do want to mention that. So in order to complete all three activities, you do need to be able to use the entire code. So this is a new snippet for this week. So the countdown from 30 seconds is brand new, but you do need to use the whole code. So I do want to mention that first. And it is pretty similar to our out loud countdown timer that we used before, but this time it's not going to be counting the whole time. So it will be counting, the computer will be counting, but it won't be telling you what number you're at. So it's just going to do a countdown and then play a sound. So pretty simple. So we're going to drag out a when program starts block. And now you'll notice that we now will have lots of splats lit up whenever we press start. So we're going to drag out a light block, change this to splat number 2, and then have it light up purple. And then when our splat 2 is pressed, so I need to drag out a when splat press block. We need to do these things. So our splat needs to light up a color so that we know that we've pressed on it. We need to have some sort of sound to signal that we need to start. And then we need to have our countdown. So that all needs to happen. And then we need to have something to indicate that the countdown's over. So that's really what all the rest of our blocks do. So let's drag out a light block. We're gonna have this one be for splat 2 as well, and light this one up yellow. And then we're gonna use a ref whistle block again. So I'm just gonna duplicate this one. Pull it over here. I'm gonna change this to splat 2. Again, doesn't really matter if you're remote, but good practice. And then we're going to have our countdown block. So the way these countdown blocks work, we didn't technically have one over here, but we could. So we could have a countdown. The countdown is just going to run up here, right up in our clock's place, whatever that's called, clock place. But we could have totally used this exact same thing for our week 1 code. Just choices that we made. So we're going to change this to be 30. And then we are going to put in a delay. And this delay is super important because if you don't have it, you're automatically going to get that cheer sound. And we don't want that. We want the cheer to happen whenever our countdown's actually up. And then we're going to play our sound. And we're going to have this happen on splat 2 again. And this is going to be a sports sound again. And it's cheer. And then our very last thing is to light up our splat purple. We've already got a block like that that does that. So I'm going to duplicate it and snap it in down here. So let's see if this makes sense. When our splat 2 is pressed, we're going to light up splat 2 with the color yellow, play a ref whistle sound to let us know that we started, countdown from 30, delay 30 seconds, and then we should hear a cheer and our splat should turn a different color. So let's see if that happens. So we're gonna press run. Cool, so we've got this lit up the color purple. That's a good sign. Awesome, so now we see that our clock place is counting down from 30 seconds. And we should see that once it gets down to 0, we should hear our cheer really soon after.
What's your favorite sound of the sounds?
I think you've asked me this before and it changes every time. I think today it's probably the cat sound. Cool. So I heard a cheer sound, and our splat is purple again. So that's great. So let's now look at this full code. I'm again going to pull up our PDF really quick, just so that we have our instructions of what we need to do for each one. So in round 1, you're going to be counting jumping jacks and the number of jumping jacks that you can do in 10 seconds. So, oops. That's going to be using this code. We know it's going to be using that code because it's 10 seconds. And so that's going to be an out loud countdown timer.
Do you think there's a market for the soft and beseeching sounds of a dog?
We'll have to find out. Right back to us. Let us know what you think of Trinket.
Would you like a block that is just the softly pathetic sounds of a dog whining?
So needy. All right. So we know for round 1, we're going to be using that first chunk. For round 2, this is going to be counting how many you're going to be doing. And then you're going to be recording your highest score. So we're not checking time for that one. So you're just going to be counting again. And then for round 3, you're doing toe touches, which we already talked about. So the next thing I'm going to pull up is I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to show this wonderful little image we've got here of the virtual splats app. And I'm going to rebuild this for you all really quick. So we've got 4 splats that we need to pull out. And then we've got 4. All right, I'm gonna unpause my splat presses. Again, this checkbox just lets you move around all your splats without starting countdown timers and all those types of things. All right, so I'm gonna change my background. I'm gonna make that be in space. So we're gonna be doing space exercise. And then
also my favorite.
So we are going to be basically starting from this side and then going down to this side. Any other things that I'm missing, Trin?
No, it all makes sense to me right now so far.
Okay. So when I press run, they should all light up their colors. Cool, that makes sense. So we're gonna be stepping on the blue one first because we know that's our countdown timer. And so that's jumping jacks.
10, 9, 8, 7,
Yes.
6,
Sitting jumping
5,
jacks.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
It looked like we had no hands.
Now we're gonna be pressing on splat 2, and that's going to be our 30-second countdown timer.
All right, and this one was crunches.
I'm gonna be doing standing crunches, and that's gonna be great.
I wish I had a rocking chair. So ideally your students are doing real crunches.
No longer be in video. We miss our lovely faces. So we're doing our crunches. Here we go. Woo! Almost done. All right, so now we need to be doing toe touches. Toe touches is gonna be a weird one. So I'm gonna do sitting toe touches. And then we're gonna press on 3 to start. So we're gonna be doing 10. So let me know when you're done with your that's 20 total, I guess.
Okay. All right.
You need to keep up. I'm almost done.
Did it.
You're done?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm slow. Okay, so then I hit stop. So that took us 21 seconds.
Okay. That's not bad, like a second per foot.
Yeah. So this one, in terms of tracking, for the first 2, you're recording how many you do. So for 1 and 2, we're going to be counting our number of jumping jacks, counting our number of crunches. And then whenever you press on splat 3, your students are going to be doing their toe touches, and they don't need to be paying attention at all to how many toe touches they do, except for making sure they get to 20. But they're going to be recording their time. So they do need to pay attention. They have to do 20, or 1 for each side.
10 for each side.
10 for each side, yes. All right. Any questions? Was that clear?
It was clear to me. This is definitely something where once you get the hang of it and like kids understand what the pattern is, then they should be good to go. You start off with your jumping jacks, and then you do your crunches, and then you do your toe touches.
Yep. And you can line them up like this. If you're lucky enough to be able to have your physical splats around, you can line them up on the floor, and you can have students go through in different rotations. But if, like a lot of us, we might be doing it from home. So lining them up on the Virtual Splats app is a great option.
And please send us photos of your kids doing the real exercises and not the poor man's version of the exercises that Emily and I just did. So
Yeah.
I am very out of shape. Just so everyone knows.
Yeah, and so say that you don't want to do all of the things that I just did. You can click on download code, and you can download this entire thing as is. You're just going to be clicking this button, and it will all look exactly like this, like we just built it.
And last week I shared with everyone that Coach Napier, his kids built the code because they wanted to see how many of the air punches that he could do. So this is also a great opportunity for kids to build the code themselves, and then maybe have family members participate in the exercise as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. And this week is
All
pretty
right.
bite. So like you really only need, so this piece, which is also being able to build a countdown timer, is super helpful for lots of games in the future. So you'll be using this code again many times with splats. But just to wrap things up, Tam, before I pass this back off to you, I'm going to save this as week 3.
Mm-hmm.
So modifying my week 1 code. I'm going to hit save. And then I'm going to go back into my projects, and I'm going to sync to my game locker. So you'll notice my week 1 and now week 3 are no longer there. So I'm going to hit sync. And we're good to go.